I'm Matt, and this is Procrastination Garage. It's Saturday morning, 10:30 a.m., and look at that, we've got two open bays. Of course, that's not really a good thing because the reason they're open is because I need to do some work on two cars today. So my daughter's coming over this afternoon, need to put her studded tires on. That's easy. Wouldn't mind changing oil in her car while it's here. The big job, though, is my wife's Toyota Venza front wheel bearings. I think we need to replace both sets, left and right side. Never done it. Looks like a big job. Watched a couple of videos, but looks like we're going to be doing it. First things first, let's take the green truck down on lower property and break some studded tires up. If we're going to have the front wheels off my wife's Venza, we might as well put the studded tires back on when we do it. November 1st is the day we can put studded tires on here in the state of Washington. That's as far as we're going to get without a trip to the parts store. So here's the deal. This nut right here, 30 millimeter, need a 12 point. I have a 30 millimeter impact and it doesn't fit. And I've got a 30 millimeter not impact that does fit. So we know that's the right size. I would try and do it by hand with the 30 millimeter, except it's not deep enough. It just barely is gripping. So the socket is like 20 bucks. We're just going to go ahead and buy it. So I'm going to go ahead and buy that and buy the bearings. At Harbor Freight, they have a bearing removal kit. I may end up having to go buy that before the day is out. Really what it comes down to is I'm too lazy to drive all the way down to Union Gap to get it. So one more thing we can do before we go to the parts house. You can see this nut, they pound it into this groove here a little bit to keep it from backing off. So we need to open that up a little bit so when we do break it free, it won't mess up the threads on the way off. And then I'm also going to spray some penetrating oil on those threads and see if we can get it to where it'll loosen up more easily. I don't have a tool to get up in there, and so I've got this little chisel right here. It's too wide. So I'm going to take it over the grinder. I'm going to grind it down. I've got a screwdriver that'll fit in there, but it'll just bend that screwdriver. So hopefully I can modify this chisel. This chisel is just kind of an extra. I don't hardly ever use it, so I don't mind dinging it up a little bit. You need a bigger hammer. I think we need more modification. She's a bend in it. It's not a very quality tool. It's a Craftsman. All right, I'm going to keep working on it. I don't know. Did I get it out a little bit? I think I did. Not as much as I'd like. I'm just going to go ahead and spray it. Going to go get the socket I need, and then we'll try and break it free with the impact, and then maybe we'll try actually undoing it with the ratchet so we can kind of get a feel for how much it's dragging. We're off. We are going to go to Union Gap to Harbor Freight, get the proper tools down there, get the bearings here in town, and we're multitasking. Yep, dropping off our ballots. The election is on Tuesday. Hope y'all get out and vote, or actually got out and vote, since this video will be after the election. Made it to Harbor Freight. Ballots have been dropped off. Okay, we reached that time of the video where I'm going to ask you to hit the like button or the dislike button. I'd ask you to subscribe, leave a comment, and tell all your friends. Thank you. Back from Harbor Freight and O'Reilly's, and I got the socket I needed. You can see it's right there. I just aired up the air compressor. Now I'm going to try and break that loose. And she's off. Good deal. Nut came off pretty easily. Doesn't look like it damaged the threads. So now we've got to take the caliper off, the rotor, and the ABS sensor, which is around on the back side. And I think that's it for now. So I'm trying to get this rotor off, and I mean, it's welded itself on there from rust. So I've got an old puller hooked into the parts of the rotor, and I've got this piece of steel, thick steel, that the center's resting on. So I'm going to try screwing it in, and hopefully it'll pop loose. It shouldn't take much to pop it, I don't think. So let's give her a shot. I don't know if I have an impact that fits that or not. That thing is stuck. Busted that. I got the rotor off. Sometimes I outsmart myself. I'm so stupid. So there are holes drilled here and tapped that you can put a couple of bolts in, and you know, I knew that if I put bolts in there that would push against the hub and maybe release it, but that thing was so hard in trying to pull it off any other way, I thought there's no way that's going to work. So I'm searching around trying to find metric bolts. I finally found one, and it's not even a good bolt. You know, I don't even know where it came from. Anyway, it was one that screwed into the hole. So I screwed it into one side, and I barely tightened it, and pop, the damn thing came loose. Jeez. All right. So what I'm realizing, and I watched 2 different instructions on YouTube, I still didn't figure it out. I don't have the tool to remove this hub. You got to remove the hub assembly, and then you remove the bearing. So I don't know what I'm going to do about this exactly just yet. But we're making progress. We're going in the right direction. So I may have to take this, I may have to take the, I'm not sure what you call it, spindle, all the way off and work at it. Not on the machine, or not on the car here. I was hoping not to. See, this thing here needs to pull this direction, which is all fine and dandy. The problem is, I'm not sure, I don't have anything to pull against. The other things that I saw, they showed, I'm not even sure what they were showing. They were pushing through here and pulling, I don't know what they're pulling against. I'm going to have to do some thinking on this. But first I'm going to take this dust shield off. To show you I am making progress, I did manage to get the steering arm loose. Cotter pin removed, undid the nut with the impact. Took quite a bit to get it loose with the impact, but it finally came loose. And then using this big hammer here, just kept beating on it until it popped loose. I actually didn't think it would pop loose, so I put a nut on here and I was going to pound up from the top, only to realize it was free. So anyway, we're making good progress now. So since the bottom's already loose, we just need to do those 2 bolts right there, and then we can take this whole assembly off, and then hopefully we can rig something to where we can beat this hub assembly out from the back side. Now installing it, the tools I have, I can install it. I just can't figure out how to remove it. So if I can't beat it out just using some sheer strength and brutality, I may have to buy a press. I've been wanting to buy a press for years, but I want to buy one that's on sale. What are the odds it's on sale right now? But anyway, let's get those 2 bolts out and see what we can accomplish. It should be some semblance of this. So I've got 3 2x tall, and I've got good points here and here, not so good a point over there. And then we need to pound down in the center. I've got a big socket there. I wouldn't mind finding a socket a little bit bigger than that one, but that one might work. I'll probably give a couple of taps on it and see what happens, and then if I have to really get brutal with it, maybe we'll find a bigger one. So let's go. It's going. Yeah, we're hitting the ground. We need a little more height. Just tipped him up. A couple more pounds and she's free. So this part here is a bearing race. That needs to go away. This outer cup here, that needs to come out, and we'll pry that out. That might be overkill. That ring is out. It dinged a little bit. When we put it back in, we'll see if we can pound it better into shape. I'm really not sure what purpose it serves. The cutout here, that's for the ABS sensor. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it does. All right, next there's a snap ring in here. And unfortunately, it's not a good snap ring, but we'll get it. I gotta say, that's not the worst snap ring I've ever had to remove. So it's out. So now all we gotta do is get the bearing to come out this side. And we've got all these cool tools to get it done. Normally we just beat the heck out of it, but we're going to use our new tools. So I'll get it set up and show you. So I flipped the spindle over, and you can see here's the old bearings, and it's not supposed to look like that. I mean, I'll show you the bearing cartridge when we go to install the new one. So I'm going to go ahead and pry all these pieces out to give myself a surface to pull against. I think we're all set. So I didn't tear that bearing apart after all. So there's from the back side, and there's from the front side, and then I'm just going to tighten it up, and in theory it should pull that bearing that direction. It's a new day. It's Sunday, about I don't know, 9 a.m. or so, and man oh man, well, yesterday my phone went dead, so I didn't video a bunch of stuff, or I didn't video some stuff. Anyway, this thing's been fighting me. So what's left of the bearing is still in the hub assembly here, and I have not been able to get it out using the magic tool that I bought yesterday that's supposed to press it out. I think I've moved it a little bit, and actually it may be just a hair cocked in there. So this morning I'm going to try a couple different things. I'm going to try pounding it out manually, get it down on the ground and use a big sledge, and then I'm also going to maybe add some heat. The problem is adding heat, because I've got this lower control arm piece here, and it shouldn't take too much heat. So I'm not sure. I'm about ready to go to Home Depot and buy a big 20-ton press, which I've always wanted anyway. I did see I've got a 15% off coupon, so I can bring the price down on a little bit, so it's not quite as expensive as a regular price. I think it's $250 is what it is, and usually it comes on sale for about $200. So I think it'd be about $215 thereabouts. Anyway, let me try pounding and see what we can do. A new day, a new perspective, and a BFH sometimes make all the difference. You can maybe see up here, the very top, it's starting to separate. So what I've got going on is I've got this driver in here. I've got this big 3/4 inch drive. I think it's a 1 5/8 inch socket. And then that hammer right there. I'm just beating the living heck out of it, and it's starting to move. So I just went and put the new bearing in the freezer. You know what they say is that if you put the bearing in the freezer and this assembly in the oven for like a half hour, that the bearing will just drop in. Well, because I don't want to remove that ball joint, I'm not going to put this in the oven. But anyway, freezing the bearing won't hurt anything. And we'll once we get this bearing out, we'll sand this up a little bit, and we'll put a little bit of lubricant in there and we put it all together. That should help. So anyway, I'm going to get this apart and I'll show you when I'm done. I ended up upgrading to a bigger hammer. I probably have 50 strokes in it. Anyway, it's free. There's what's left of the old bearing, and there's where it came out of. So we'll go ahead and we'll clean that up a little bit with some sandpaper. And then next thing we've got to do is over here on the hub. This piece here has to come off. This is the other bearing race. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take a cutoff wheel, cut it at an angle, try and cut as much as we can. Ideally, we don't want to cut into this part here. It's not the end of the world if we nick it a little bit. Get far enough in there to where hopefully we can put this in a clamp and then beat on it with a punch and get it to break free. I have no doubt we'll get this apart. All right, we're cooking with gas now, baby. All right, so it's just about off. Just need to pop it the rest of the way. I came at it with a cutoff wheel coming in at an angle, and then I used a couple of cold chisels and beat on it. A couple pieces actually broke away and flew across the shop. Luckily it didn't hit me in the eye, although I'm wearing glasses. And anyway, so it's ready to come off. So this surface is now ready to go. That'll slip in the new bearing. I'll sand it a little bit. And just need to go and sand out the hub assembly. I haven't done that yet. And then we can start reassembly. I think it's time for reassembly. I've got all the pieces sanded. I've got some WD-40 white lithium grease spray. And I'm going to go and get the bearing out of the freezer. Now, the bearing being frozen will help it go into that piece, but that piece there has to slide into the bearing, so the bearing being frozen is not going to help that. So we may have to wait a little bit to put that in there, or it may not even matter. I don't know. Let's get going. Running out of air. While I was waiting for the air to air back up, I just went ahead and finished it off manually using my breaker bar. Got it all the way down. Felt like it was seated. I was able to get the little clip back in there, so we're calling that good. Although technically, if you look on the other side, there's just the slightest gap there. But you know what? As long as the clip is in there, it's not coming out, and it's fine. And it may move further in later. Doesn't really matter. The axle assembly rides in the hub, and it has a little bit of play in it, so it won't hurt anything. Everything will be torqued. It'll stay torqued. So that is the next thing to do, is need to put the hub in this. Felt like it was bottoming. It's not. Okay. Then alrighty. We have one thing left to do. That's reinstall that ring there. That cutout there needs to come around over there, because that's where the ABS sensor goes in. So let me get that put in. Time to bring it over and install it. The final piece was the axle nut, and I thought I had a torque wrench that went up over 200 foot-pounds, but I was wrong. So I used that, just did it on there tight, and then I beat the little thing back into place. So we're kind of good. I was going to put studded tires on, but I got to thinking, with studded tires on there, I can't hear the wheel bearings. So we're going to go ahead and put the regular tire back on. We're going to move over to the other side, do it, and then we'll take the thing for a test drive. We might drive it for a week or so and see, and then we'll put the studded tires on after that. To be truthful, I'm not 100% sure that I didn't damage this bearing a little bit putting it on. I know what I did wrong. I won't make that mistake on the other side. So if by chance this one starts making noise or is making noise right away, I'm going to chalk it up to a learning experience. I don't know, like a $40 learning experience, because that's what the bearings are. But again, that's on me. It may be fine. It may not make any noise at all. But what happened was when I was pounding on something, I didn't have one of the supports in quite the right place, so I was actually putting pressure on the bearing, the ball bearings, and not the inner race and outer race as needed. So we'll see how it goes. But like I said, I know what I did wrong. I can certainly do it a lot quicker next time, I hope. Anyway, we're moving on the other side regardless. Look at that. I've got this one completely disassembled. I'm about 30 minutes into it. Amazing what a person learns doing it the first time. So I'm at the stage now where this hub has to come out of the bearing, which means basically I'll flip it upside down and I'll pound from the top side. Also, this ring here has got to come out. I'll probably go ahead and do that right now, get it out of the way. Then I'll pound. Yeah, we're kicking ass and taking names. So I've got the hub assembly out. I got that little cup out. And now getting ready to do some grinding to remove this race here from this one. And then the hardest job is getting the bearing out. But we've already done it, so we'll get it. Seriously. Alrighty, done deal. This is ready to go back together. This one was a whole lot easier than the last one. And putting this part together, I should have it all back together within 30 minutes or less. And just like that, she's all back together. I'm going to take it for a test drive. I'll let you know. I'm just wrapping up the test drive. I had it up to 60 miles an hour a couple times. I'm not hearing any noises. And going around a corner, I'm not hearing any noises, although I didn't really get it tested real well going around corners. So we'll drive it the next few days. I'm not going to put the studded tires on for a while until we verify there's no strange noises. And we're going to call it fixed for now. I still don't have a warm fuzzy about the left front wheel bearing. I'm going to let it ride for now. Probably before this car makes another trip to California, I'll go ahead and swap it. Or until I forget about it, don't worry about it anymore. Anyway, we're going to park it back up in the spot that it normally sits. It is a driver. I'm doing this outro on Sunday afternoon, and if I get this video up tonight, that will be exactly a week from the last one. I think. I'll have to look at the calendar, but I'm pretty sure I did the last one last Sunday. So that would put us back on track. Now you'll notice that this was all done back in November. Yeah. I I've got more stuff through the month of November. And then December, you know, I did a Vlogmas every day, so I've got nothing. But I've also got new stuff in January so far. So I've got lots of content. I just need time to edit it and get it posted. An update. The front wheel bearings, the left one that I was a little bit concerned with in the Venza. You know, I waited a few days before I put the studded tires on there. And it never made any noise. It never misbehaved. And when I put the studded tires on, I did a little wheel shake to see if the bearing was loose or anything, and it was fine. So at this point, I have no intention of changing it until we start hearing it or it acts up. I will check again when I pull the studded tires off at end of March. Anyway, that's it. Please come back next week for another Procrastination Garage. Remember, my name is Matt, and hope to see you then. Thanks.